Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday morning. All right, we're going to delve into a subject this morning that might be a little touchy because some people get all worked up when you start talking about race. But we're going to talk about it this morning because it's something we have to pay attention to. Now, for years, and we go back to probably about 2015, so near 10 years now, there's been talk all over the internet, social media, mainstream media, about the coming civil war. And a lot of people, media, are calling it a coming race war. That it's going to be blacks versus whites versus Hispanics versus Asians, yada, yada, yada. I don't buy that for a second. Maybe I should. Okay. Personally, I see the coming civil war as being more red versus blue, and I've talked about this numerous times. That's going to be pretty hard because it's not like everybody's going to go out like the Bloods and the Crips and wear either red t-shirts or blue t-shirts. Since about 2015, those of us on the right side of the political spectrum have been called racists, misogynists, xenophobes, homophobes, sexists, deplorables, Neanderthals, and the list goes on and on and on. To the point where the insults don't even matter anymore because they've been so overused that people almost wear it as a badge of honor anymore. Okay, not because of the definition of the word, but because it's just another insult hurled at us by the left that we know isn't true when pretty much everybody else around us knows it isn't true, unless it's some screaming blue hair with nose piercings and a cat on her arm. Okay, Karens. Now, we look at what's really going on. And there's very possibly going to be some sort of violence leading into or certainly after the election, regardless of who wins, okay? Because there are going to be people that aren't happy, and there's plenty of people who've already shown that when they don't get their way, their solution is to go kill people, burn buildings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But I want you to look at something. Who's stoking these tensions? This is the group that wants war to happen. Over the last few days, we've seen something that is absolutely abhorrent to me. Okay. It is so divisive, it's unbelievable. Kamala Harris's campaign has been using Zoom calls to do virtual rallies, let's put it this way. And they're getting 50, 75, 100,000 people to show up on these Zoom calls. Okay, that's pretty good. But they're entitled Black Women for Harris, White Dudes for Harris. If you think, especially if you were a minority, okay, a person of color, to use the latest politically correct term, that the Democrats are the party that is going to bring us all together, you are sadly mistaken. Okay. With everything going on, you go back and you take a look at who voted against the Civil Rights Act in 1964? Who did not want to give blacks the right to vote? Who wanted blacks to be 3/5 of a person? Every single time, that would be the Democrat Party. Can you imagine if Donald Trump did a White Dudes for Trump rally? You would see every media outlet screaming that this was a Nazi rally. The headlines would all have, I don't know, the Confederate flag up, etc., saying that the KKK was coming back. Oh, for a reminder, the KKK was a Democrat organization, founded by and run by Democrats. We're in a really, really ugly time in U.S. history right now. I've got to say the country has never been so divided since 1860, since before the Civil War, when we were North versus South, which at that point, if you really want to think about it, guys, that was Republican versus Democrat. Okay? The South was overwhelmingly Democrat. The North was overwhelmingly Republican. Oh, how times have flipped. You look at a Kamala Harris rally, and depending on which one it is, you look at Joe Biden, you look at Barack Obama, you look at Hillary Clinton. They make a point to say, we went to a black church today. Trump, or whoever other Republican candidate, but just he's been the presidential candidate now for 3 elections in a row. Trump makes a point to go to a church. You look at the crowds. You look at a Trump rally. There's black faces, there's white faces, there's people holding up signs, Hispanics for Trump, yada, 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 right? Okay. It's a very diverse society, which the Republican Party pretty much believes in. We believe as long as you are a citizen or here legally, green card, whatever would be, you're fine. No big deal. Learn to speak English, abide by our laws, not the ones that we wrote, the ones in the Constitution, okay? Better yourself, don't infringe on my rights, and we can peacefully live as neighbors. The Democrats on the other side, no. They want to keep the 1800s, 1860s policies of slave owners and slaves. You look at the point, it's like they'll scream and yell all the time, about reparations and everything. Mind you, this 1.3% of the American public owned slaves, and they were all Democrats. Okay, Kamala Harris's family owned 1,100 slaves. Donald Trump's 0. Just telling you. Okay, just those facts are kind of important. But you hear all of this slavery stuff. Slavery's been gone for 160 years at this point. And yet the Democrats still want slavery. They're just rebranding it, packaging it differently. I mean, come on, we've heard the comments made publicly by politicians. We need the illegals. Who's going to clean your toilets? That's an actual quote. Okay. They just exchanged the black community for the Hispanic community. They've said many times, who's going to pick your crops? I pick my crops. I got 2 hands. I don't hire somebody. I don't have a slave out there doing it. No, I do it myself. And note to the Democrats, white people are perfectly capable of cleaning their own toilets and picking their own crops. We don't need a slave to do it for us. Black people are able to do that. Hispanic people are able to do that. Asian people are able to do that. Indian people are able to do that. Native American people are able to do that. We can all do it. We don't need slaves. You may need slaves because I'm pretty certain that most Democrats are too lazy to clean their own toilet or to pick their own crop. Hell, too lazy to plant their own crops. Okay. But this is part of what we're getting into. And we need to stop this. We need to call this out over and over and over. The racism in this country, propagated by the liberal Democrat Socialist Party, has got to stop. There is no place for that in this country. Sure, there are criminals, despicable, disgusting people of all races. Doesn't matter. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, doesn't matter. There are crooks, thieves, arsonists, rapists, murderers of all colors. That's part of humanity. You go to any country in the world and find that. Okay. But the overwhelming majority of people in the United States are good. Okay. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. It doesn't matter what their religion is. The overwhelming majority of people are good. We need to stop pigeonholing, or they need to stop pigeonholing people into boxes. We hear all the time, the Democrats have to carry the black vote. And again, this is the media thought process, this is the Democrat Party thought process, that African American people have a hive mind. Oh, one person's going to do this, therefore all of us. If you ain't voting for me, you ain't black. That's literally the mentality of the Democrats. You're black, therefore you must do what I told you to do. Please explain to me how that's not slavery. Again, can you imagine Trump coming up and saying, you ain't Hispanic if you don't vote for me? They'd scream racism like crazy. But Joe got away with that. Black women for Harris. White dudes for Trump. Yeah, I mean, I could see the white dudes for Trump were, Dylan Mulvaney and Admiral Levine. 100,000 white dudes who showed up in a dress. We have to put a stop to this. We have to come together. Because as the old saying goes, we all hang together, or we all hang separately. That's our choice in November. We need to get rid of this toxic, poisonous cancer in this country that's known as liberalism. It's a party of racism. It always has been. It's never changed. Go back and look. Do some research. Look at the quotes from Lyndon Johnson. Look at the quotes from Woodrow Wilson. Go back to the 1800s. Don't give me this, we were the party that elected a black president. That's your guilt talking. That wasn't what was going to be best for you. I will finish with this. To the minority communities, whether it's the black communities, the Hispanic communities, the poor communities, I don't care. If you live in Appalachia, if you live in the inner city, if you live on a Native American reservation somewhere, those are poor communities. Please tell me, give me one example of what the Democrats have ever promised you and delivered on. I'm certainly not going to hold my breath waiting for a response. Pinball out.